Ready to make a real impact every day? Join the Active Day Home Care team and help clients maintain their independence in the comfort of their own homes. Make a difference in someone's life as you provide essential daily assistance and protect their health and happiness. Earn up to $20 an hour and enjoy additional perks like optional daily pay, 401k, paid time off, ongoing educational training, and more. Join a team that values care, compassion, and your professional growth. Visit activeday.com to apply.
Let's chat. It's hard. You want to talk? I know, that's disappointing. Sit back. Let's work this out. How's it going? What are we doing here? Where are you going? Hey there. Wow. It's not always easy. It's amazing if you think about it. Let's think about this. Strange. I have some thoughts about that. Life is hard. Trauma bonded.
Welcome to Trauma Bonded. I'm Elly Westberg here with Therese Garcia.
Hello.
And today we're discussing episode 365 of the podcast, This Is Actually Happening. What if they believed you staged your own kidnapping? Part 2, Denise. A young woman is kidnapped, assaulted, and released by perpetrators, but a far greater trauma lurks as the powers meant to protect her do not believe any of it happened. Dum, dum. And full disclosure, I work for This Is Actually Happening, and T doesn't work on the show, but she's still an employed person for now. And she comes in fresh, and the show, Trauma/Bonded, is for the listeners, a space where we can talk about each episode, digest it, and reflect on it with empathy and a little bit of levity. That's Trauma Bonded. T, what stuck out to you as the heart of Denise's story?
Thank you, Elly. I went with one word for the heart today.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Can you believe it? So last week for Aaron's story, I went with the word held.
Yes.
And this week for Denise's story,
Release.
that's correct.
Shut up.
Don't.
Have I ever guessed the word?
Well, it's released.
Okay.
But yes, that's right. And that's the first time you've guessed it. I guess it's kind of obvious.
Do I win anything?
Pride and prejudice.
But I already have that.
Oh, they were both released physically, right? But emotionally, slowly. Released from silence, shame, and finally into truth and purpose and into each other. Denise feared that Aaron would see her as broken, but he saw her as his hero. And in that moment, they were both truly released and free.
Yeah, dude, bro. And when Denise, which was my breath bad?
I just didn't know you'd say dude bro, but I love that.
That part where Denise talks about how Aaron says to her, "Don't get me laughing. I won't stop."
Denise, you are my hero. Is that the part?
Yes.
Yes. You saved both of our lives? That part?
Yes, because absolutely, if Denise wouldn't have lived, then Aaron might quite possibly have spent the rest of his life in prison.
That's right.
That's a true fact. Like, that's a real possibility.
That's right, dude, bro. A good thing. What was your heart of the story, Elly?
My heart is pretty simple. I just think that Denise is a baddie. Can I say that?
A baddie assy.
Totally. I mean, the resilience that she has, to face down what she did from the start of like having to tie up your man and then get into the trunk of a car, knowing that you're not supposed to go to a second location. No,
We've learned that.
Never. And then, of course, she was assaulted and had to live under the thumb of this weirdo. Then to be released and to know that the worst of it isn't even necessarily behind you, that the whole world thinks that you've caused this or that you've perpetrated some kind of hoax on everybody. What an insane thing to face down, and to face it down and to come out on the other side and to kind of as she said, take back her voice and take back the reins of the narrative and keep pressing on, and to not lose sight of the important things in her life, like relationships and the people that matter. And then to even go so far as to have children after an experience like that, I think is like really remarkable. Like she's like a personal hero of mine.
Totally agree. I mean, I feel like you're at the end of your rope and finally you're free. And you're like, I can finally relax.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, thank goodness. And then you get out there and like, all right, okay, you're going to prison or something. Or no, everyone's going to accuse you of everything else. You're like, oh, and now you have to get back to it and put your walls up again and have to defend yourself and everything again.
Even those like first initial days after she was released, she doesn't think about this. She gets released, kind of has to stumble her way into a neighbor's home because of course both of her parents in Huntington Beach have flown up to the Bay Area to be looking for her. So no one's home. And then she can't be touched by people like her family, like her cousin that wants to hug her after being kept so isolated and away from people that she loved, and then has to book a flight, take a flight. Think about going through all of that and then having to go to the airport, just and fly
Yeah.
commercial. Think about that. You know me, I'm a lazy sack of shit. If I went through something like that, I'd be like, look, I'm gonna go in this room. I'm gonna have to like sleep for about 15 hours and then we can get back to the rest
Yeah.
of it. I can't believe the timeline, the logistical timeline that she had to go through after this.
Oh, and by the way, don't take a shower. Yeah.
She gets back to San Francisco.
The
For
flight.
those of y'all who don't know, when you land in SFO, you ain't landing in the city. You still got to
Ah,
drive 30 minutes at least. If
yeah.
that's, 10 at night, you're probably looking at 25, 35-minute drive, depending on
Oh,
where.
she's going to Vallejo?
No, I think her attorney is in the city, but
Oh,
still, like
okay.
you land in SFO, you gotta drive to the city. So what? She doesn't start seeing her attorney until 10 p.m. or something. All we know is that they call Vallejo PD by 2 a.m. And what does the Vallejo PD say? Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's fine.
You don't need to come in tonight. It's late, and just keep your clothes on that you've been violated in and been wearing for the last 48 hours, and don't touch people too much or hug or anything because we don't want your evidence tainted. And all of the subtext here is we don't believe that you were actually harmed. So we don't give a fuck what you do. So just come in tomorrow because we don't want to be bothered. It's absolutely mind-boggling, and everyone there in the Vallejo PD, should be hanging their heads in shame 10 years later, as far as
Matt
I'm concerned.
Mustard.
Yeah. I was going to look him up.
Looking at you, Matt Mustard.
Is he still employed by Vallejo PD? Oh, you're employed by Vallejo PD?
Ah,
Matt
let
Mustard.
me take a look.
My mustard.
Let's see. It's
I-
research alert.
I was in the PD.
Who spells Matthew with one T?
Matthew.
Matthew Muttard. Former sergeant detective.
Yeah, but who's employing him now? Oh, he retired.
Chick-fil-A. Research alert. Hey, it says it here.
Oh, wait,
AI
here?
overview.
Wait, you can't defame Matt Mustard. Does it really say?
No,
it's
it
employed-
doesn't. Sorry. I got that wrong. That was another Matt Mustard. Sorry. My bad.
That was a Matthew Mustard.
That was a Matthew Mustard with that
Matthew
Matthew.
Matthew Mustard.
Ellie, I did want to note one thing, though, about this. So, this story is powerful and deserves our full attention, but we also want to acknowledge that part of why it got that attention is because the victims are white and come from privilege. That doesn't take away from Aaron and Denise's experiences, by the way. What they went through is real and devastating. At the same time, we can't ignore how often stories about missing and exploited women and children of color, especially indigenous communities, are overlooked by both law enforcement and the media. That gap matters, and it's worth naming. Thank you, Kathy.
Absolutely, T. Thank you for
Just wanted to acknowledge that.
saying so. Let's get into it. Do you have any lifelong friends from kindergarten? I was really impressed by that. It makes me sad. I think Amy Shoemaker is probably my longest
Oh.
friend.
From kindergarten?
Oh, like preschool.
Oh, from preschool.
But I mean, we had many years where we did not say a word to each other. I just saw her at my dad's funeral, but I consider her a friend. It's wild though. I mean, it sounds like Denise has a lot of them. I don't know. I'm always impressed when people talk about friendships like that.
No, I think most of my friends now are from high school, not from way back when. So you guys don't really know me from when I was, Young.
I've seen giant poster renderings of you in your mother's house, though.
Well, you don't know if I was behind bars
You were definitely in front of a microphone.
and a piano.
Let's talk about the camping incident. For those who didn't listen, she is molested by a trusted older friend of the family who she says is funny. And the whole thing is unexpected, as these things usually are. And she didn't tell anyone. Why do you think she didn't tell T? I mean, she says that she wants to rationalize it away as a mistake, not a big deal. She doesn't want to be a burden to anyone else by saying it. I mean, did anything else occur to you when you were listening?
I mean, I wonder if, when you speak it makes it more real.
Yeah.
Maybe you want to pretend it never happened. I don't know. I couldn't imagine. But it's awful. I hope that if anything like that happens with my kids, I hope they can tell us, It's so hard. I don't know how. Because, I mean, it sounds like she had a pretty good childhood and probably had open communication.
Truly, yeah. I mean, except for there was like this money tension in the household, and so she probably did legit feel like she would be an added burden.
Didn't want to pile on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When you hear your parents arguing or having stress about other things, the last thing you want to do is sort of add to that, especially when you think it's something that you can rationalize away and handle on your own. What you don't realize that it's something that is forever kind of forming inside of you. It's forming a mass. And I don't mean that physically. It's just this thing that is going to forever be a filter that you sort of put everything else through. And when you start to do some emotional work on yourself, I think it's the thing that's going to always come back, or it's always going to come out. It's always going to be that thing.
I feel like you could always rationalize it away. I mean, even if you had the perfect family unit.
Oh, totes.
Right? Like, I don't want to burden anyone. I don't want to mess up what we got going on,
And she was going in so far as to say it was a punishment. It might be something that she deserves. It might be her fault. You pay attention to enough messaging that women gets, and maybe you do start to believe, well, maybe I was welcoming it, or I wooed him, or I was flirting. You could talk yourself into a million different ways to make it something.
How do you get in front of that?
You don't.
Well, how? No, you can't.
I don't think
Boundaries?
until
You talk about boundaries.
Well, if you have a trusted adult, obviously that's your first place to go, and hopefully they don't fuck it up, which often happens as well. You tell someone and they just like make it a billion times worse because either they don't believe you or they don't take any action themselves because they're also trapped in some sort of weird cycle around something like that. Or you just carry it around with you and it informs you in ways that you don't even realize are happening until it starts spilling out of you. And when you're that young, you don't have the tools to cope with something like that. You have no idea what this means for your life. That's why it makes sense to me that she didn't start dealing with it till she was like a young adult.
I mean, they're already talking about this in school.
I guess stuff is more progressive.
I mean, she was 13. They're already talking about this at 5, boundaries and stuff.
Well, we heard about like no-no square.
What's no-no square?
No, you can't touch me there. That's my no-no square.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good.
Didn't you get the no-no square song?
No.
No?
Square. Mine was a triangle.
I'm walking around with a box and T's walking around with a triangle.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, obviously that's a horrible, terribly informative experience to go through, but it does sort of keep her out of relationship mode going forward. She focuses on education where she can control sort of the situation, the atmosphere. And then luckily when she does have a first real boyfriend, it is a largely positive experience that she says, which amazing. But the symptoms related to that trauma do start to show up for her in college. Makes sense when you're learning more about the world and your body and things, and you start to develop a language around the stuff, and people, your friends are confiding. We were talking about the other day, like when you learn to talk to your friends and you thought talking was so cool and you just want to talk all the time. Hey guys, let's go smoke cigs, drink coffee and talk. It's so cool.
Talk.
You know what I'm talking about,
so
Kathy?
smart.
Yeah.
Right, Kath?
Learning to talk.
We're so smart.
Like, we're not just talking.
We're so deep.
We're
Let's talk
talking
deep.
Talking deep. But it was showing up for her in panic attacks and anxiety. And luckily the college provided a counselor and she cried a lot in counseling. letting it all ooze out of her, the big mess of it all. And then she ends up in Brooklyn for grad school, and that's when she decides to tell her mom what happened. And her mom sounds really supportive. It's amazing how resilient people can be, which is amazing. I mean, and life is hard, and you can't raise your kids thinking nothing bad's going to ever happen to them, because it will. And not maybe this, but bad shit comes. Have we all experienced bad shit? And we were all super protected, were we not? The two women in the room with children are looking at me like I'm a fucking moron.
What are you talking about?
It's wild, though, to think about how one bad experience can rudder your whole life. And that's why having kids is so fucking
It's
scary.
a balance. It's a balance. You want them to be kids for a little bit. It's really hard.
But you also want them to have the tools to be able to cope with bad shit that comes down the pipeline. So
Of
how do you
course.
walk that line?
Yes, it's a balance.
Anywhoosie, she heads back to Vallejo, and that's where she first sets her sights on little old Aaron.
Aaron.
I want to say that I think the way her and Aaron both talk about physical therapy is so cool.
Oh, yeah. They make it seem awesome.
And I think that you and Gwen would be really good physical therapists.
Oh, really?
Yeah, if you need a second career.
Oh, why? Thanks.
I don't know, because you're
Why?
both like kind of athletes, and you're both like caring, and like you have an ability to connect with people. I don't know. I see those qualities. What do you think, Cal?
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, I thought that's why you thought we'd be good on Survivor, but maybe.
Team.
Oh, both.
Yeah.
Okay, Survivor, physical therapist. So maybe those, if things fall through.
I think
One or
Gwen
the
would
other.
be a little bit better than you, just
Oh,
because
why? What?
she's more patient with people, I think.
Okay, thanks. Yeah. I thought I was feeling good, and then I started to feel.
I'm not saying no,
but
you
okay.
are patient, but Gwen is exceptionally patient.
Patienter, yeah.
Patienter. Would you
But
agree?
maybe I'd be a better survivor, or no? Oh no, worse at that too. Okay, well okay. Thanks then. That's nice of you. At least I've got pickleball.
Well, no one ever tells me I'd be good at anything, so take it. Hot or not, admiring.
Insurance. You're really good at insurance.
Thank you. I'm out. I'm out.
She's leaving. I'm just saying you were good at that. For all my insurance questions, I go to you. Oh, I think so too, actually. Not the surviving part, but like the social part of it. I mean, that's the title of the game, but the social
The
part.
middle-aged white women do not fare well on Survivor.
No, but you'd be like a Trojan horse, because everyone would be like, "Oh my god, look
the
at that."
condoms. Oh,
Why?
what? Oh,
So-
the story of the Trojan horse. You're not talking about condoms,
N-
because I don't use them.
I was gonna say I don't either, so I didn't even know what that was you're talking about. But I was gonna say, because everyone, like, there's a little bit of a bias, like, about much older women, about how people don't like them like you. And you walk in the room and everyone's like, "Ugh, here comes Elly," But then you open your mouth and they're like, "What a bitch." But then they're like, "Wait, wait, listen to what she's saying." And everyone's like, "Oh, she's so mean." But then, wait, what was I forget.
And then I'm voted out first night.
Yeah, that's what my point. Let's keep going.
Okay, hot or not? Admiring someone professionally and finding that hot.
Yeah. I mean,
Denise
Yeah.
thinks Aaron's hot because
Professionally.
he's a good physical therapist. I get that. I could see that.
admiring someone because of their professional prowess.
I was gonna say prowess.
Oh my God. Well, especially if you're a physical therapist, you might have a physical
Therapist.
body. Right? You have to have that muscular.
You're so your mom right there. Ooh.
Look at you and
Look at
your
your butt.
yeah. So then, but I was like a little suspicious too. Like maybe she was also attracted to him. But yeah, I do also know if someone's good at what they do
It's
professionally.
sexy.
It is.
Yeah, it's a turn on for
It is
sure.
a turn on. Like people probably don't know what we look like, but
But
since
they're
we're so good at this,
At this.
they're like they're probably
Do you think
sexy.
anyone's ever rubbed one out listening to
I mean, I have
Me too, but I was just multitasking.
right now. No, if you'd notice.
Okay, what do you think about this sort of like a little bit of a messy overlap with Aaron
Mm,
and Andrea and Aaron and Denise? Do you have feelings?
lots.
Go.
Okay. I mean, it happens a lot, doesn't it?
I think so.
I mean, the overlap. I think it happens a lot more than it doesn't happen.
I mean, not for me, but
Not
for
for me
others.
either. I've heard it from friends and stories from strangers. Kath?
Did we mention that Kathy's in the room with us? Shout out to Kath.
Kath, have you had any overlaps with your relationships before? Like you're starting to date someone, but you're ending a relationship with someone at the same time? I mean,
Let's
when we're all young and, you fall in love and you don't know what to do, and then you get into a messy breakup, and then,
But you have a really obvious strong connection with someone else, and even though you're telling yourself I should separate and spend some time alone and really like heal from this other relationship, especially if you're working together, and you just keep getting pulled toward each other, it's really hard to stop a moving train.
for sure.
And now hindsight 2020, I mean, obviously they've got a well-established relationship, marriage, children, etc. But I'm sure climbing into something like that with a man that kind of has a half of a foot in with someone else is really scary, which gets me to my next point. Denise is having feelings or worries or intuitions about Aaron really finishing up with Andrea, and so
What does she do?
she checks
His.
phone.
Oh, God.
Okay.
Kath, have you ever checked
Partner's phone.
without them knowing? You have? What was that like?
She said yes, like it's just in her repertoire.
Yeah, like you've done that a lot.
Is that your move?
Whose phone?
Names.
I've only done it once.
But is it because you had an
Did you
intuition?
have?
And were you right?
Ah, see?
know why we
Totally. I
high-fived
know.
over
That
that.
was weird. But yeah, And she was right too.
I mean, you can't deny a woman's intuition.
It's true.
What do you think about this move, T? Do you think it's warranted to check a partner's phone if you don't think you're
Sorry.
getting the whole story and your intuition is on?
Oh, wow. I don't know. Wow. That's a hard one. Maybe ask? No. Did you think she asked? Maybe she did. Maybe they already talked about it.
He might have hemmed and hawed and
Yeah. They didn't say that in this. She probably already asked.
oh, if I suspect
Have
something,
you ever done it?
no,
I
but
haven't
would,
even done it either.
I would straight up say to Scott, something's going on. I feel it. I
Yeah.
notice it. I know. I can tell. Just fucking tell me. And he would. He's pretty honest. So
Yeah.
the real question for me is, what would I do about it?
If you said,
If he said, "Yeah, I've been seeing someone," or "Yeah,
Ah.
I've had an emotional or emotionally intimate relationship with someone, or like an emotional affair, something like that,
yeah.
or even like I went out with a coworker and we got too drunk and we kissed and it's
Guess
kind
it
of weird.
depends.
It just kind of depends.
It depends, like it depends, like the level of what happened, but then also the way that their response to it is too. So you can't really even plan it.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Well, and I like to think that if, I've got complex feelings about monogamy already.
Yeah.
So it'd be hard to say what I would accept and what I wouldn't. I think that if I found out he was doing something and I caught him in it and he admitted to it, maybe instead of going to immediate breakup, we could redefine the relationship. I don't think we could ever go back to how it was before, but I wouldn't, the trust would obviously be broken. So are we just roommates now until one of us moves on? I don't know. I'm not like a punishing type person, so I wouldn't like key his car or anything like that. I mean, you wouldn't even be able to tell. It's such a piece of shit. But, I'm not vindictive because I understand, again, I think monogamy is flawed and complex and I wouldn't fault it. I don't give him everything he might need. And so if he found comfort in someone else's arms, I could probably be understanding about that. What that means for us going forward is probably a different thing, but that's a long way to answer the question. No, I wouldn't look at his phone. That's just me though.
Mm-hmm.
Although
I mean, I've never
never
had,
say
yeah.
never.
I've never had the reason to.
I'm a big believer in following your instincts, following your
Yeah.
intuition. If I mean, how many times have you got on the other side of something and go, man, I saw that. I felt it. I knew it. It was in my bones. I knew it. I just refused to believe it, or I wouldn't trust myself. How many times have you said that to yourself? Like, I'd rather just confront it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's tricky.
It's a tricky one.
Tricky.
Are you looking for a new job or want a career change? Look no further than Monster.com. Need a little help standing out? Our expert resume writing services will make sure you shine. Want to brush up on your interview skills? Engage with our AI interview prep tool. Want some advice on negotiating your new salary? Visit our salary tools and extensive library of career advice articles, and you'll have all the tips and tricks you'll need to succeed. Visit Monster.com today and take the first step towards your career. Monster.com. Find your right job fit.
By the way, just so you know, I'm on page 2 of 9.
I did write in my notes, if you don't want me, then bye. But that's what Denise said.
And I loved that.
I loved her voice. She's so strong. It's so obvious, like, how much strength she's gained from going through all this. And that's why I said she's a baddie. I feel like I could hear her talk about most things. I really want to know her opinion on everything, sort of.
Yeah, she says, I'm worthy of someone who wants me.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, you are. We all are.
But again, that's like kind of believing in the myth that monogamy is a construct that works 100%, which I don't necessarily think it does. But some people live with that. So, sorry.
Yeah, some of us.
And he goes to therapy. God bless him.
Yeah.
How many guys do that?
Yeah. That's how you do it. That's like proving you're like, hey, but he's trying to send a message like, I want to save the relationship by going to therapy.
Yeah, I think this was the wake-up call that he needed. Like, she called him out on his shit, and he was like, okay, I'm going to take my foot out of that relationship and realize that I will lose you if I don't buck up and, like, make this work. And that includes me going to therapy to get over this other shit, which, good for him. Good on him. They have this big emotional night. They go to bed. They wake up at midnight to a whisper of, this is a robbery. What? Huh?
What? No, it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare.
Dude, can you imagine?
Oh no, I'm scared. This scares me. It is a nightmare. I mean,
he's like a gentle robber, but we find out later it wasn't a robbery at all. It was always an intentional kidnapping for ransom. I know this is so impossible to really fully answer because until you're in a situation like this, you don't know how you're going to react. Really, you can pontificate all day long about how you would act. But if someone broke into your home, woke you up in the middle of the night, handed you a sedative to take, like in a pill form, are you swallowing that pill? Yeah, I probably would.
well, I probably would, because especially if I have a blindfold on, because I don't know that they're watching me take it. If I didn't have a blindfold on, maybe I could pretend to not take it or something. Oopsie, you know. Achoo. So I sneezed, but I did take it. Yeah, throw it in my bra. Because I have the blindfold on, maybe they're watching me do it. But maybe I could put it under my tongue for a minute. I don't know.
I think Denise and Aaron both speak to this really well. There was this constant escalation of physical threats. If you were by yourself, you might be willing to take more risks, I feel like.
Oh, yeah.
But because there's someone else involved and they don't want to
Yeah.
accidentally or inadvertently hurt them because they're trying to be defiant.
Yeah. So when you're asking me this, so I'm wondering, like, I can't play this pretend game. Like, are you saying the kids are in the house right now? Because when the kids are in the house, you're upping it a lot. But if the kids aren't in the house, okay, so I can be a little more risky.
What if Gwen's in the house?
Yeah. Again, so I think it is the fewer and fewer people, my loved ones are in the house, you can be more and more risky, I think.
But if you're alone, you might be willing to.
So I think that tracks.
I think so.
Yeah.
And then to hear, again, this isn't meant for you, it's meant for Andrea. I'd be like, well, get the fuck out of
Yeah,
here.
go get Andrea. Let me give you her address.
Never go to a second location.
Well, we say that, but you're literally tied up. Someone's throwing you from one trunk to another. What are you going to do? Sorry. I listened to a podcast where they told me I shouldn't go to a second location. So if you could just leave me in this trunk. Elly told me because I'm not supposed to, because
I would love that if someone emailed us and was like, I was kidnapped. And I said to them, Elly said.
and I was saved. Thank you, Ellie. But yeah, if you could, let's avoid that.
I thought this was interesting. So the gentle rapist puts the blanket in the trunk for her and gives her a blanket because she's cold, and he makes this throwaway comment, "Oh, my bad. We're all wearing wetsuits."
Yeah, what's that? Were they planning to like go into the ocean?
My thinking is they swam up to the neighborhood in
Oh,
the
because they're on
suits.
Mare Island.
You know what I thought of?
Oh,
Remember the start of True Lies? Remember that
yes.
movie
With
from
Arnold and
Jamie Lee Curtis?
yes,
Yeah, and remember how that movie starts?
the
They're
dancing.
yeah,
Yeah,
they're infiltrating that like German castle kind of thing, and they enter and exit via
moat,
a moot.
a boat, a boot.
Well, like a body of water, and they're in
Yes,
wetsuits. Boom.
that's how they do it.
That's probably where they got it from. True Lies.
That's where I get everything. That's where I get my dance moves.
You do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this part really
Not
resonated
to
me.
brag.
This part really resonated with me when she was talking about how all of her senses were on high alert, paying attention to what was happening. And this is so true. There is a very different sound on being on a neighborhood street versus a freeway, the way the sound bounces off buildings versus homes or out in the open. And she was keeping track of all of this. And I always say that my hearing got really honed when I took care of your mom because I had to be paying attention for when she would get up and like call an ambulance for herself. So it almost ruined my hearing because I'm like I hear the littlest bitty thing. And that was all honed in my trauma of taking care of your mother. I mean,
Sorry.
wonderful experience. I really grew. I'm so different. She talks about,
Post-traumatic growth.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
I had that. She talks about, I wrote little freedoms attached to his ego. What does that mean? What did you think that meant? Like if he was disseminating like gifts to her, that was somehow like pumping himself up, like making him feel like a good guy. Oh, I
Yeah.
was so kind to her. I let her take her mask off after I.
Yeah. Like a good guy, but also that he has all this power and he's giving her the little things,
Yeah.
right? This little woman, weak. Yeah.
Typical startup founder. And she says that she has her two biggest weapons are what, T?
Empathy and compassion.
That's right. And she knew that she had to show that she was human to him to really just keep him calm, keep him interested. That's not the word I want. To keep him
From thinking he's a monster, that he's human.
I mean, I just rewatched Silence of the Lambs the other night, and they really make this point in the movie. Like when the girl is kidnapped, her mom keeps saying her name, and they make a comment like, "This is good." It's like humanizing her to him, so that it's harder for him to harm her. And it feels like Denise is sort of employing these same sorts of ideas. Like, if I keep showing to him that I'm a real person, then maybe he'll be less likely to hurt me. And truly, the only control she has in this situation is how she responds to him. Like, she's got no other leverage. So it's really a genius way to kind of handle the situation, not just to keep yourself safe, but to keep yourself sane. Yeah. These are practices that she uses in her job and her life all the time, empathy and compassion. To be able to turn that on for self-preservation in a very scary, uncertain situation is really admirable, amazing. Okay, here's a question. Let's just let's just really drill into the stuff to talk about. Is this good or bad?
Bad. I'm just going to guess bad. Bad. What's the next one?
You're told, see, this would fuck with me. I'm on film sets a lot, and if someone like whispers in my ear like, "Hey, I heard that we're getting out at 4 today," it's like you should never believe that shit, because as soon as you believe it, your day will go like 4 hours longer, right? So what I want to ask you, T, is if you were promised by your perpetrator when you were kidnapped that it's only going to be 48 hours, is that something that that information that you would be happy to know, or information you'd rather not have been told?
Well, the whole thing sucks anyway.
Well, yeah.
I'll start with that. But then she's like, already is thinking, I'm not going to trust anything you say.
But you're going to hold on to the back of your head like, okay, if I can get through these 48 hours, I'm going to be okay. Like, I would hold on to that, I think.
Yeah, but she doesn't.
Well, she starts to get kind of murdery, which I enjoy.
Oh, yeah. She's like ready. She's like, if it's 48 hours and 1 minute, you're dead. Like, I love that.
I do too.
Because you're right. If it were me, I'd be like, all right, so, 2 p.m. on
Yeah.
Tuesday, I'm out. We're good. Hope. I would have a lot of hope.
I think he tells her that information as a way to control her so that she'll be calm for those 2 days. Like she knows there's an end in
knows that.
sight.
But she's ready.
I feel like, I think it was smart for him to say that if he wanted to keep her under control, because it does sound like, that's why I wonder, like, if he'd never given her that time parameter, if she would have let loose earlier. It's curious to think about. She does talk about being sexually assaulted on film, which is horrible. And she talks about how she did have to detach herself in order to live fair, just waiting for it to be over. And then this was such a powerful visual moment when she talks about he gave her this freedom of letting her take the mask off finally in the bathroom alone. And she sees herself, and it's the first time she's seen herself in a long time. And she says that she looks like a ghost of herself. God, what a powerful image, a powerful moment. I mean, obviously there's no reason to trust this guy. It starts from the first original lie. He said it was a robbery and it's actually a kidnapping. How can she trust him? Oh, and the moment where she says she sees her dad on TV, this is the first time she really starts to get emotional, I think, in the episode. We, as I think all of us individually, we know that we can take on so much, and we want to take on so much to protect people that we love. And to see your father being so distraught, it's a rough moment. I wrote, Denise knows she might have to get murdery after a 48-hour deadline. And finally, she gets released in Huntington Beach, where she's grown up, and you think the story is over, but is it, T?
Not even close.
Not even fucking close.
She thinks it's over, though.
Oof.
Well, she still has to.
He did congratulate her on a good, successful kidnapping, and he's gone. He leaves.
Congrats.
That initial feeling of freedom before you know the whole world is trying to set your ass on fire has to be an amazing feeling to really, like, he's gone and you're really actually free. Fuck. Oh, I'd be like, get me an ice cream cone stat. But then once that relief settles, and this guy isn't caught, there's always this thing hanging over your head. Like, as she puts it, she'll always be in captivity, like knowing that he could always get to her and Aaron again.
Like, are they always watching?
Yeah.
Especially because he was like, don't tell them about these two things. The military thing and the sex thing.
The assault, yeah.
Yeah.
So I get how this story is completely bizarre and flabbergasting, and very, very difficult to understand. Bizarre, but you don't jump to "It's Gone Girl," for God's sake.
You know that movie? You know that movie, Gone Girl?
It just reminds me that
It's exactly like that movie, Gone Girl.
unless you really try, no one really ever grows up, especially these teenage dildos that work in the police, you know? And she does deny sexual assault at first to the cops, which completely understandable. She's scared to death. And
She's supposed to not to say anything about that part.
And she's afraid for Aaron. She's afraid for her family. She's been kept from her family by the police, which is so fucked. And it's like, just get your goddamn evidence collectors here to collect her shit. Like, what are they doing? Are they out to lunch? Where are they? I get it. Like, people have other things they're in the middle of. But doesn't this seem like it'd take priority?
I just think so.
I hate this idea that, like, you're further endangering someone, you're exacerbating someone's harm by keeping them from the things that comfort them once they've been set free.
But this Gone Girl, it's Gone Girl. It's from that movie.
Yeah, they're treating her. Immunity from what?
I know.
T.
That's a good question.
So she has to get an attorney. She has to get a flight. Ugh. And the indignation in Denise's voice when she talks about the dismissal, the degradation of her life, her body, her worth. It's disgusting. Every person slash AKA man at the VPD she dealt with should be ashamed of themselves. I think I already said that, but in case you're listening, you should be ashamed of yourselves. Imagine being kidnapped, sexually assaulted, and not showering and accused of it being a hoax. It's just freaking believable. And I hate showering, but I would want to shower. Who wouldn't?
But nope.
As she calls it, she goes to the VPD the next day, and she says that this Matu Muttered, he is a smug, noteless bastard. Can you imagine just sitting there with your arms crossed, nodding?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me all the info. I'm not going to take any notes. It's all up here. It's up here.
Oh, fascinating.
Words.
Oh,
look at all the words you're saying.
Wow.
Terrible.
She calls it Captivity Part 2. Oof. Are you familiar with a SART exam, T?
I'm not. Research alert.
It stands for Sexual Assault Response Team. It's designed to gather evidence of the assault and provide healthcare services.
Oh, that sounds good.
Sounds good. And then the FBI agent's even worse. 99% sure she's lying. Dude, watch Gone Girl.
That'll explain a lot.
Yeah. Duh.
I mean, I didn't watch it, but my wife did.
Burn that bitch. I mean, I'm sorry and sad that we waited till the very end to talk about the sexism of it all, because like I don't know if I'm capable of like putting together sentences right now, but it's maddening.
Yeah.
I mean, this is all veiled. This is all sexism, is it not? Is this pure misogyny?
Oh, 100%. It's all these dudes. Like blah, 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 blah.
She goes through all this questioning. She's vilified every word. Can you imagine doing a press conference and calling this a Gone Girl without having done police work? The sheer audacity, the hubris. But I love the reunion with Aaron.
Yes.
She's so concerned about what he's thinking. Just thinking about that moment, that reunion, it brought tears to my eyes. How they stood up for each other and protected each other and just really thought and considered each other all through this whole experience, both of them under this terrible duress in different ways. It's it's relationship inspo, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
As she put it, Aaron was kidnapped too, but by the police. I wrote ooh snap, but really that's sad. And then they spend months in isolation. They're unable to work. They can't go back to Aaron's house. They're couch surfing basically, whilst the PD, the FBI are doubling down on their points of view, and the whole world believes that this is a hoax. It took her a year to watch Gone Girl, and her takeaway was, how the fuck is that like my story?
Like totally different.
She's not wrong. Okay, this is what we need to spend the last few minutes talking about. The true hero, I mean, obviously Denise and Aaron are both heroes in their own right, but the true police hero is Detective Misty Caruso. She's the one that actually worked the case. You hear that? Police worked the case. She's the only law enforcement that worked the case. She caught this blonde hair that was attached to swim goggles, just as Denise described. And, you know, it's not talked about in this episode, but it's talked about in the Netflix series. You know, Misty got into policing because a close friend of hers had been assaulted. And that's what led her to policing. So she's like a true do-gooder. Like she really cares about people and helping people and stopping harm. And she didn't give up. She followed the evidence and everything was verifiable. And she did it not just to prosecute, but to prevent. And it's sad that this other family had to be hurt because the police weren't willing to do their jobs. And thank God for Misty. And you can tell that Denise and Aaron really count her the hero of their story. And she is very much a standout character in the Netflix series. Vallejo PD sucks, just in case you guys weren't clear about that. They should be sued into oblivion and fire everyone, like Matu Muttered.
What great motivation it is, I think, as a police officer to prevent and not prosecute what Misty's going for. Not just to like go straight for, okay, we solved it, you know, whatever.
Just want to clear it off.
Just clear it off. Just we're done now, you know.
Yeah.
motivation to actually solve a crime.
I mean, isn't the whole point of getting into policing is that you're taking people that cause harm off the streets so that other people aren't harmed? Isn't that the true inspiration for being in law enforcement?
I think so.
As far as I understand, or as far as I know or have read, Vallejo PD still hasn't taken accountability for the wild lies and rumors and conjecture that they spread. But apparently they paid a pretty penny. That's all your taxpayers' money. You live in Vallejo, you paid for their ineptitude. Are you happy about it? Well, I thought what Denise said about, I thought this was really poignant. It was bizarre to her that there was this way that the world viewed her and how different it was than she saw herself to be. And what a fucked up mind fuck to go through. I don't think I could have made it. I don't know that I already walk around thinking everyone is out for me. I don't know.
Hear it over and over again.
It's always in your face, always being told to you about who you are, and it's not true. Yeah, globally, I don't know if I could come back with that from that. Like, she is such a baddie. She's loud and proud, and she's done a lot of work. And again, the after was nearly worse than the crime itself, betrayed by the FBI. And when you're betrayed by the highest level of law in the land, who do you turn to when you're in a bind? Who do you trust now? And what a bond to have with her and Aaron. God. What was the thing that the one-legged Arctic guy said that him and Dave would say to each other?
Yeah.
You were fucking there. I bet they say to each other.
They could say, yeah.
Yeah. They just turn the corner in the kitchen with like waffle. You were fucking there. Like, it's just that, like, you see me and I see you.
Yeah.
To go through this thing together. You were fucking there. Oh, I got chills. I gave myself chills. I love giving myself chills because I've been really hot.
Yeah, you have been really hot. So.
I should have just been giving myself chills.
That would have been good. That's one way. Turn on the AC now.
And they're thriving now. Nothing stopped them. Nothing stopped them.
Oh.
They're thriving now and nothing stopped them. And you know what, T? If your voice didn't matter, they wouldn't try to silence you. So put that in your cap and smoke it. Thank you for listening. This has been an episode of Trauma Bonded. You can find our show where podcasts are kept. Please rate and review us. Thanks to Denise for sharing their story and giving us the opportunity to talk about it. Thanks to the This Is Actually Happening team, including Whit, Missildine, and Andrew Waits, and the maker of our music and website, Nathaniel Tromboli. And thanks to Forrest Chiras for editing this episode, and to Katy Caple for building this blasted Instagram post. And a special thanks to Kathy Seitz for sitting in this room listening to us talk tonight while she tried to stay awake. And please subscribe to us on YouTube. And you can contact us at Gmail, find us on Instagram, visit our website. We are trauma bonded to the story, to the storyteller, to the listeners, and to each other. Thanks for spending time with us today. Love you, T.
Love you, Elly.
Love you, Kath.
Love you guys.
Love you, Kath.
Love you.
Good job. Hey, thank you.
Hey, thank you. Okay. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Trauma Bonded.